election 2020 mini-series here on kidswearcrowns.com. I am, as always, your host, Ryan McLaughlin, and with me, as always, is my co-host, Ronnie Harris. We have, there, of course, once again, has been a lot going on. 1 week in Corona time honestly feels like a month. I feel like I haven't left my house in about 5 or 6 years.
It's the hyperbolic time chamber, man.
Right.
Yeah.
So for those of you that haven't been aware or joining us for the first time, this of course is our political recap of everything that happened in the world over the last week, or really within the United States. We're going to talk about a number of things here today, including Trump's recent rally numbers, because I want to laugh at that for a little bit. We're going to talk a little bit about what is going on within the mess of the State Department of New York. And then we're also going to talk about Trump backing Republicans into the corner in regards to a second round of stimulus checks. And the new bit today that we'll talk about is Senate Democrats growing a spine when it comes to the police reform bill that the Republicans are trying to hammer through. So, Ron, let's go ahead and start with what happened on Saturday. For those of you that were not aware, let me back up. I'm sorry. Make sure you subscribe to us on the kidswearcrowns.com, on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Please follow us on Twitter at the KWC blog. Now, if you were not aware, Donald Trump was supposed to hold his first kind of return presidential campaign rally. It was scheduled initially for Friday, June 19th, also known as Juneteenth, in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Which was the site of one of the most violent race riots and massacres in American history. That got moved to the following day, June 20th, which during the course of which Trump tried to boast that he made America aware of Juneteenth and that he tried to credit himself for it, as usual. But Trump's turnout was less than stellar. In an arena that holds 19,000 people, Trump's campaign only managed to pull in 6,200. Best part of all, outside of all the empty seats, the Trump campaign actually prepared for an overflow crowd by having a stage outside the venue where overflow crowd was to gather, and Trump and Pence were going to address them after the initial rally, and nobody came. I want to laugh because it's funny. I'm going to laugh because it's funny. I also understand that a lot of people probably did not come out because they were simply scared. Of course, Rona is a serious thing. People don't want to catch it. They understand what's happening. But best of all, 3-time MVP of the resistance, K-pop stans, showed out once again, averaging yet another triple-double in this instance, where they combined with other Zoomers, and I mean, K-pop stans can be any generation, but some Zoomers through TikTok promoted exactly how to register for tickets so that they could basically increase the queue or make the Trump campaign think that all these different people were coming to their event with none of them showing up. So, Ron, after seeing what happened there, what was your initial reaction when you saw the empty seats on Saturday evening?
I was thrilled. And I like to say this. I feel like, there's a certain, so the Venn diagram between the people who support him and the people who would show up at a public place and just totally disregard social distancing, it's a complete circle. So that's not a concern. But the concern is they were totally trolled by K-pop stans, and like I keep saying, who knew they would be such a powerful force in the resistance. But yeah, man, once again, it just goes back to Inauguration Day. He attempts to lie about the crowd he has, and we had to shut down the overflow area because he wants to talk to the people directly, don't want to go outside, yada, yada, yada. But nah, y'all had an entire stage set up outside and inside. Like, there's going to be a whole grand shebang. And it turns out, like, he basically had the crowd of Class 3A championship game, So nobody was there. I love to see it, as they say. And I'm glad to know that his re-election campaign is off to this start. Like, it just gives me so much joy.
It's sort of a confirmation of everything we've been hearing over the last 2 weeks on how his numbers have severely dipped. His support has decreased tremendously. The average polls, I think they ran the numbers today, and on average, polls have Biden with at least an 8-point lead, which is an absolutely insane amount to think about. For reference, Hillary Clinton never had a lead, I want to say over 4 or 5 on average. And then if you convert Trump's approval and disapproval rating to an electoral college map, Biden has more electoral votes than Obama did in 2012, which Obama's 2012 win, if people don't remember, was a pretty heavy blowout, beyond the terms that, Trump tried to call the 2016 election. On top of that, Biden's approval is actually above 50% now, which Hillary never had during the 2016 campaign. So all of these things are coming together, along with the fact that only 6,000 people in a state that he won by 20 in 2016, only 6,000 people showed up. It is absolutely insane to see how things are falling apart for him. Great. I hope it continues. I hope this lack of momentum continues for him well into November. He's proven and he's shown who he is over and over again. He's proven that he doesn't care about anybody but himself. He spent 10-15 minutes there trying to justify that he could actually drink a glass of water with one hand, and that ramps weren't too steep for him. I mean, it just in a time where people are, dying, there is no federal plan or federal leadership when it comes to the coronavirus. And he gets up there for 15 minutes and just rambles about nothing. I don't know what else people need to see.
Yeah, and not to slightly pivot, but John Bolton, and thanks to you, I keep wanting to call him Michael Bolton every time, but he represents a faction of Trump voters that I think makes up a large portion. They were like, I don't like Hillary. I want to vote for the party, even though I don't necessarily believe in this guy. So let's give him a chance. And John Bolton also said like that's why he wrote the book, because for some stupid reason he was like, oh, this guy wasn't what I thought he would be. So I do think the ones that are still supporting Trump and that would still show up to the rallies are his most extreme supporters. But yeah, I do think he has clearly lost some support. Now the question is if they would rather vote for Biden, or will they basically repeat their same mistake. I'm hoping that they would vote for another old white man, since they like old white men apparently. But I do think that he has seriously lost some support, and it's going to be interesting to see how he'll poll as these months go on, and basically it'll be interesting to see the outcome of the election.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think along with, Biden being an old white man, I think the fact that he, despite what his platform is now, is large, even though he's largely seen as a moderate, I think that is more appealing for some people. Like, I hate that we have to play this game of, we got to find the moderate that people are going to feel comfortable voting for, because, we know at a time like this, we needed somebody with the policy platform like Warren or Bernie. But, again, Biden has leaned that way. And so I hate that that's the optics of it, that we've got to pull out the white man in order to save everything. But it's the sad state of where we are, of that people really saw this man, knowing who he was, knowing he wasn't qualified, and we're like, I'll give him a chance. Why not? And, it was a catastrophe on every level. It's literally cost lives. We said this every single week. What the consequences of his election are. He appointed his 200th federal judge this week. I mean, I don't know what else to tell people. If you are on the fence, and I know a lot of people don't want to vote for Biden, and we've said this over and over again, and I get that he's not exciting at all. I get that we look at it and we try and go, oh man, it's the same old. I feel it. I understand. But as I can't remember who said it on the timeline, but somebody put it the perfect way, which was, hey, all of the restructuring that we need to do to the electoral system needs to happen in the off season. Right now, it can't happen. We don't have time for it to happen. So let's go ahead and fix this problem. And then we can work on trying to go state by state and implementing ranked choice voting, or, whatever the case may be, make a push within the Democratic Party to do it. Whatever needs to be done, we can do it then. But it's insane, because there wasn't a more qualified candidate in 2016 than Hillary Clinton.
Hillary Clinton.
She didn't win. I I don't know what to say to that.
No, no, no. Let's actually, and not to stand on my soapbox here, but actually, let's actually go into the problem. She actually did win, which is more insane. But the thing is, she lost key areas because people were like, "I don't like Hillary, so I'm going to vote third party, or I'm just going to vote Trump simply because I don't like Hillary." And that's the and like I said, I just keep repeating this. I hope those people have realized their mistake and they say I can't do that again. So it's about those people, because on the opposite ends of the spectrum, you already have people that have their minds made up. But it's about those people that decided like, hey, I can't vote for either candidate, or I'm not going to vote for all, or I'm going to vote for Trump because I feel like there's no other option. Like, it's about those people. If those people can be swayed, even a few of them, then yeah, I mean, Biden can win.
Well, let's hope he does. Transitioning from Trump's incompetence to the incompetence of, well, we'll just stay on his incompetence. We'll come back to Barr in a second. But Trump backed Republicans into a corner in terms of a news interview that he gave earlier this week, where he basically voiced that he would be for a second round of stimulus checks. That has been something that Republicans in the Senate particularly have been against. They do not want to add another stimulus plan or another stimulus plan that includes personal checks. They want to end, of course, the unemployment bonus that's in place right now, the extra $600 benefit that will end on July 31st. They also want to institute things like back to work bonuses, or some of the dumbest ideas that I hear are the ones of the vacation credit.
A $4,000 vacation credit.
Where are we going? Where are we going?
Where am I going? Where?
So, which the best part about that is one of the articles I read was saying that, this may encourage Americans to go and actually visit their summer homes.
Who has?
So anyway, that's on the table now that Trump has backed them into a corner. Of course, as we've talked about on here before, the Democrats already passed the HEROES Act back in May, and it sat on Mitch McConnell's desk, as of course he will not take it up and produce new legislation through the Senate. Ron, now that we have reached this point where basically the most prominent figure of the White House, even though there's a lot of division inside about what should happen, but the most prominent figure of the White House is actually advocating for more checks. Do you think this has a chance to pass or has a chance to happen? And what do you think it's going to look like?
He needs another win right now. So if he is one thing for him to put it out there, but if he keeps saying we need the checks done, then the checks are coming, and that's just because he needs another win right now. But what is going to look like, I don't think it's going to be as ambitious as, and I don't even think the HEROES Act was all that ambitious. We talked about that in a previous episode, but I don't think it will even be that ambitious. I think it'll be simply another round of $1,200, but more aid even more aid going to businesses. So what it'll look like, it won't look like anything that will be like basically helpful, because I am definitely of the camp that, as long as we are affected by the coronavirus, like, people should be receiving aid. But yeah, it would just probably be another singular payment, and then we'll revisit that again coincidentally right before election time.
Yeah, I'm in agreement that another stimulus, another round of checks needs to happen. I've also been in agreement with you that unemployment needs to be extended until at least January of 2021, possibly further than that. With contingent for it to go further than that, which I thought was initially in the bill that Michael Bennett had cooked up, but I guess Senate Republicans took it down to July 31st. On top of that, I think it's crazy to me that there hasn't been, it's not really crazy when you think about it, but there hasn't been enough discussion on the table to actually get states the funding to help them balance their budgets. Of course, states, most of them are required to have a, to be in the black when they do their budgeting. And most of them are not going to be able to because of a lack of sales tax revenue and, any other tax incentives or tax revenues that they get from just being open. So, you know, on one side, you have a solution to just kind of force everybody out there and let people get sick and die. And on the other hand, you have people that want to ensure that people get the money that they need in order to survive and keep it moving. I do think that we will see a little bit more robust round of checks. I think they got hammered so hard about it that I think we'll be able to get more than that $1,200, or they'll actually be able to do what the HEROES Act includes, which is, hey, there shouldn't be an age limit, right? You know, if you're 16, your family should still get that money because you need it. If you're in college, you should get that money directly because you need it. So hopefully those things will be fixed in the provision of it. But I'm with you. I think another round is coming. I don't think they have a choice now, especially now that he's backed them into a corner. But I also think it could go a completely different way. There are a lot of Republicans in the Senate that are planning to try and distance themselves from Trump because he's been pulling down so many different races. And if things keep going the way they are, they're going to lose a ton of seats. So I could very well see them kind of, you know, buck what he wants to do and try and put forth their own language about it, saying, oh, well, we're going to do this for the American people.
I thought about that recently because I was just I was actually thinking about Roy Moore. Well, no, not Roy Moore. Basically Jeff Sessions randomly the other day, and it just made me think. Basically, everybody that he's endorsed in like state races, his hit record isn't that great. So if he endorses somebody, it's actually like people are like, let's not vote for this person. So yeah, I can definitely start to see the distancing come in, and it'll be interesting to see if this is the point, because I mean, under Mitch's leadership, and I say leadership for a specific purpose, they are, you know, adamant that, hey, no more checks are coming. So if Trump is calling for this, it'll be interesting to see the rift that this caused, if any at all.
Well, it's interesting that the two people in the White House between Trump and Mnuchin are the ones that are really, really pushing for more checks. And, you know, to be fair, Mnuchin, not to give him any credit at all, but to be fair to him, he has been saying this whole time that, you know, hey, a second round is going to be needed. That was practically, again, for political purposes because they want to be seen in a positive light. But, you know, you have them wanting to get these things done. And then you just have people like McConnell, who, as you said, are trying to basically stonewall any effort to get people more money. And it's just kind of sad, really, because part of it just seems to be that, one, they're just completely out of touch in terms of what everyday people need or go through. I mean, the fact that Mnuchin himself had said, oh, $1,200 should last people for a couple of months, just kind of shows it's like it's one banana, Michael. How much does it cost? $10? Like, it's that quote. And so it's just kind of, it's weird to me because it's the same group that says we've got to reopen the economy, and we need to save the economy by having people go back to work and having people go out and spend their money. But if people are fearful that they may get sick, they're not going to go out and spend their money. Or if they lost their job, they don't have money to spend. So if they don't have any kind of income coming in, how are they supposed to contribute to the economy other than staying home? Like, there's nothing that they can do to help. And so it just becomes a huge cluster and a huge mess. And it's weird to me how they don't see that.
Like you said, it just goes back to them just being out of touch with like the needs of real people. And it like it takes me back to when Paul Ryan got his tax bill pulled through, and he was like, you know, with that extra like $300, you could go get yourself like a Sam's Club membership, you know, and he was just like so proud about that. It was like, hey, I know real people. It just shows how out of touch they are with just the average everyday American.
Yeah, you just reminded me. I think it was our friend B. Will. Shout out to B. Will, who was saying that Paul Ryan is probably gonna sneak back in here and try 2020.
Paul Ryan was like, hey.
Now that we got rid of that mess, you guys want to kind of like restore what our party used to be about, which was like doing the same thing Trump did, but quietly. Yeah. Anyway, moving forward to incompetence and honestly downright maleficence in the Trump administration. The House Judiciary Committee is preparing to subpoena General William Barr's testimony on July 2nd. This is coming from Chairman Jerry Nadler. He has said that they are ready in case Barr decides not to testify to the panel. This all comes after a huge mess over the weekend where sorry, I've got I've got noise in the background. This comes after a huge mess over the weekend where Barr attempted to fire a representative or attorney representative of the State Department of New York, who then refused to step down, who then initially Trump said, oh, I have nothing to do with it, before saying, oh, no, I do want to fire the guy. But because of how everything went down, they weren't able to replace the individual with who they wanted. And instead, his deputy took over. So they were basically trying to stop an investigation into Trump that the SDNY has been very active in looking into him and the people that are connected with him. A lot of people are assuming that as soon as he leaves office, that's going to be the first court that, that starts to charge him. And so it just kind of, it's like being caught red-handed over and 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 over again. And it's just kind of like, out of everything that's happened, this doesn't stick. I mean, people are talking about it, and I'm glad House Democrats are looking at this and going, no, make this man testify, subpoena him. If he doesn't come, then you can use your power to hold him accountable and in contempt. But I don't know what other clear case of corruption you need here.
Yeah, this is like the biggest and boldest thing Barr has done, and he has been like flagrant since he's been appointed. But this is the wildest thing he's done, and like in a normal world, this would be the story. This would be the story, but it's just another. It's just another, headline on the ticker. But yeah, he definitely has to be held accountable for this, because this is just the most blatant case of just corruption I've seen from him. Like not even attempting to hide what he was trying to do. I mean, it's like like he went after one specific guy because he knows that he's investigating Trump. So yeah, I do hope that he's going to be held in contempt, because surely he's not going to, come in and testify. So I hope that, if he doesn't respond to that subpoena, which apparently is a thing you could do if you're a Republican, because it's happened before, there's just like, nah. So I hope he is, held accountable for that.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane, because like you said, in a normal world, we'd be looking at this and going, what are you doing? This is clearly corruption. Impeach him right now, get him out of here. But in this increasing hyper partisanship that we're dealing with, and particularly just kind of the cult of republicanism, people aren't being held accountable. And it's absolutely insane that you can, without reason, without legitimate reason, fire an attorney and try and replace them with somebody who's loyal to Trump, or Jay Clayton, I think, who is the chairman of the Security and Exchange Commission, is who they Audrey Strauss. No, Audrey Strauss is the prosecutor that's taking over. I'm sorry. Jay Clayton is the
is Jay Clayton
of SEC that they wanted to put in, who has no experience,
has zero experience in
the role, and they're trying to put him in the role. And so it's just kind of like, what else do you need? What else do you need to see? I don't know, man. I'm speechless. I'm so speechless. It's chaos. It's story after story. It's scandal after scandal. And I can't keep up at this point. I'm trying. I really am trying. There's so many different names involved that I'm like crossing them all up. So on top of that, and discussing Democrats actually growing a spine, if we switch over to the Senate, Republicans have tried to pass a police reform bill that has minimum measures, like banning chokeholds for I can't recall what it is. What is it? Non-lethal situations. You can't shoot a chokehold or something of that nature. It's basically a bill that does nothing but introduce lip service. Senate Democrats like Kamala Harris have stepped in and said that they will not, under any circumstance, bring this bill to vote. Republicans need 60 votes in the Senate in order to bring it to the floor. which means that Democrats are needed in this instance in order for it to get off the ground. And if they stand their ground like they sound like they're going to do, then it really sounds like they have grown a spine in an instance instead of cowing to popular opinion, or to public opinion, I should say. Because let's face it, Republicans are really good at spinning the narrative. And the fact that Kamala Harris and a couple others are getting out in front of this and saying what they're doing ahead of time really shows that they've kind of learned a little bit over the last 4 years. Well, I was wanting to get your thoughts on that.
Oh, okay. I just saw a truck going down your face. That was
I'm gonna head muted because whenever I'm not talking, because yeah, you hear it.
But yeah, that's definitely needed, because the bill that is being introduced by our man No Gums Tim Scott is like you said, lip service, because like the people are very clearly saying what they want. So okay, like saying okay, no chokeholds unless you're in this situation isn't the problem. It's not a problem. The man, like like I said, the gesture that they use isn't the problem. The problem is the system. So we need police reform that addresses the system. And the clip that's been circulating these last couple of days is Kamala just totally ripping into John Corwin about the anti-lynching thing, and that needs to be a thing as well, because that's where modern policing stems from. So anything that's less than that is just lip service, and we need true reform that addresses the problem. And so I'm glad that they are getting in front of this and saying like, hey, like anything, like basically what you're presenting isn't going to do, like anything less than what we want isn't even going to reach the floor.
Yeah, and I applaud them for it. Between Kamala Harris and I can't think of the representative's name from Louisiana, who basically struck a nerve with Matt Gaetz regarding Black Lives Matter. That was an incredible moment in and of itself. I do want to point out that I want to give a shout out. I'm trying to pull up her name, make sure I have it right. Elizabeth Epps. I do want to shout out her for the leadership she has done in the state of Colorado in terms of getting a new bill passed. That is what police reform at minimum should look like. They passed a sweeping police reform bill last Friday that, among other things, bans chokeholds, makes officers personally liable if they're found guilty of violating a person's civil rights. It's one of the first states that will allow police officers to be financially liable for civil misconduct suits. And then along with that, because this was signed into law, all local and state police officers must wear body cameras by 2023. Body camera footage must be made public. Chokeholds are prohibited, period. Shooting at fleeing suspects is prohibited, period. Deadly force can only be used if a person's life is in imminent danger. Police must report every instance in which they stop someone who they suspect of a crime. They must also include the person's race, gender, and ethnicity. Police must report other officers for wrongdoing. Officers can be held personally liable for damages up to $25,000 if they are found guilty of violating an individual's civil rights. Officers can turn off body cameras, quote, to avoid recording personal information that is not case related, or if they are working undercover or are on an unrelated assignment, according to the bill. They may also turn off their camera, quote, when there is a long break in the incident and in administrative, tactical, and manageable discussions. If officers do not follow these rules, they may be subject to criminal liability and penalty under the law. They will face discipline up to and including termination.
Yeah, and that's the type of explicit language we need, especially you cannot fire your weapon at a fleeing suspect. Like, why isn't that a thing already?
Not sure. I don't understand it. It just makes sense, right? Like from us talking about Iowa's police reform bill last week to this one, they both offer way more than what the Senate Republicans are trying to put forward. And I don't want to say it doesn't make sense, because it does make sense. Everything has a purpose. There's a reason why people do certain things, but it just kind of sounds like more and more people are understanding that what Colorado is trying to do should be the bare minimum.
You're right.
All right, moving on to our last subject of the day. I want to say we actually did cover everything. Yeah, we did cover everything. I'm sorry, I lost count. This was a quicker episode.
Yeah, I think that's everything.
Oh, we didn't interview today. That's what it is. We didn't interview anybody.
Yeah.
Last couple times we did.
No guests today. So yeah, that's why.
Yeah. So yeah, if you all enjoyed everything, if you enjoyed my son hooting and hollering in the background, he dropped an iPad on my toes. So if you saw me scream off camera, or if you saw me scream on camera but muted, that's what happened. But yeah, we hope you enjoyed everything today. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at the KWC blog. Make sure you follow us or subscribe to us at thekidswearcrowns.com and on our YouTube page. If you have trouble finding it on YouTube, just go to our Twitter page or our website and you will see it that way. Ron, anything you need to promote before we get out of here?
That's it.
All right. Make sure you check out all the other podcasts and webcasts we have going. Are y'all still doing on this?
On last week's episode? So we are looking for a new show because, of course, there are no new shows coming out due to production being shut down due to COVID. So if you have a show that you've been watching, new or old, and you think we should recap it, just hit it. Yeah, just well, see, I'm trying to pick something like off the beaten path, like
no, we're doing Insecure. It's like one of the most popular shows in the country.
I'm talking about for this new show.
I got you.
There's like a gap, like something that's like a hidden gem. So we've been like scouring like Netflix and like Amazon Prime looking for shows that are good, but no one's talking about, to maybe try to like raise the hype about that show. So if there's a show that you've been watching, new or old, and you think is under the radar and more people need to be talking about it, let us know. We'll watch it, we'll recap it. We might even have you on for an episode. Who knows? So yeah, just hit us up at the KWC blog as you see down there. And yeah, just let us know what shows you're watching.
Yeah, as Ron mentioned, again, we got a ton of new content coming on our YouTube channel. I'm finally finishing my video essay that I said I would have done by the end of June. It won't be the end of June. It'll be like early July. But I'm finally finishing it up. We have, AJ's brought back Politics as Usual and the 4 Eye Show. So both of those can be found on our YouTube channel, as well as, our different podcast venues. So thank you all for supporting everything that we do. We appreciate it. Stay safe out there. And as always, Black Lives Matter. And arrest and convict the officers that murdered Breonna Taylor.
Yes.
That has not happened yet, and that is an absolute travesty. So we will see you all next week. He's waving. So we'll see you all next week. Thank you all so much.